The unexpected arrival. The vast expanse of space, usually serene and uneventful, suddenly erupted with activity. A massive energy signature appeared on the scanners of the Galactic Council's border patrol ships, sending shockwaves of panic through the crews. Captain Zorax of the GCS Starweaver, a veteran of countless patrols, felt his three hearts skip a beat as he stared at the readings. "Impossible," he muttered, his scaled skin shifting colors in response to his stress. "Helmsman, confirm these readings." The helmsman, a lithe insectoid creature named Vix, chittered nervously as her appendages danced across the control panel. "Confirmed, Captain. The energy signature is unlike anything in our database. It's massive." As if summoned by their disbelief, a colossal ship materialized before them. It seemed to absorb the light of nearby stars, its hull a mix of sleek lines and imposing armaments. The ship dwarfed the Starweaver, making the once proud Galactic Council vessel look like a mere toy in comparison. "By the void," Zorax whispered, his normally commanding voice reduced to a trembling whisper. "What manner of species could build such a behemoth?" The bridge crew of the Starweaver stared in awe at the main view screen, their varied alien physiologies all displaying signs of shock and fear. The unknown ship hung motionless in space, its very presence a silent challenge to everything the Galactic Council thought they knew about their place in the universe. "Captain," the communications officer, a bioluminescent being named Lumi, called out, "We're receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel." They're using our standard frequencies. How is that possible?" Zorax straightened his posture, trying to project confidence he didn't feel. "On screen," he ordered. The view screen flickered, and an image appeared that sent another wave of shock through the bridge. The being on the screen was unlike any species known to the Galactic Council. It had 2 eyes, a protruding nasal structure, and was covered in a fine layer of fur on the top of its head. Its skin was a pale color that none of the crew had ever seen on a sentient species before. "Greetings, vessel of the Galactic Council," the being spoke, its mouth moving in sync with the words. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Ship Horizon. We come in peace and request an audience with your leadership." Zorax blinked his 4 eyes in rapid succession, trying to process what he was seeing and hearing. The being, this human, spoke perfect galactic standard, a feat that should have been impossible for a species unknown to the Council. I am Captain Zorax of the Galactic Council ship Starweaver," he managed to reply. "Your arrival is unexpected. We have no record of your species in our database." Captain Chen nodded, a gesture that seemed to convey understanding. "We anticipated as much, Captain Zorax. Humanity has been observing the galactic community for some time, but we've chosen to remain hidden until now. Recent events have forced us to reconsider our policy of non-interference." The implications of this statement sent Zorax's mind reeling. A species advanced enough to hide from the entire Galactic Council, observing them undetected. It seemed impossible, yet the evidence was right before his eyes. "Recent events?" Zorax inquired, his curiosity overcoming his initial shock. What events could prompt such a dramatic reveal? Captain Chen's expression turned grave. "A threat is approaching, Captain. One that your council is unaware of, but one that poses a danger to all sentient life in the galaxy. We've come to warn you and to offer our assistance." As Chen spoke, Zorax noticed movement on the view screen behind her. Other humans moved about their bridge, each focused on their tasks with a discipline that impressed even the veteran council captain. The technology visible in the background was unlike anything he had ever seen, sleek and advanced beyond his wildest imagination. "A threat," Zorax repeated, his voice barely above a whisper. What kind of threat could be so severe that it would cause an entire species to reveal itself? "That, Captain," Chen replied, her voice heavy with the weight of her words, "is something we need to discuss with your full council. The situation is too complex, too dire to explain in a simple transmission. We request permission to approach your capital world and present our case directly to your leaders." Zorax felt the weight of the galaxy settle on his shoulders. This decision was far beyond his authority, yet he knew he had to act. The appearance of this human ship, the warning of an impending threat, it all pointed to a pivotal moment in galactic history. I will need to consult with my superiors," Zorax said, trying to buy time to think. "Please stand by." As the transmission cut off, the bridge of the Star Weaver erupted into a flurry of activity. Officers rushed to their stations, analyzing every bit of data they could gather about the human ship. Lumi was already sending encrypted messages to Galactic Council headquarters, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with the urgency of her transmissions. Zorax stood in the center of it all, his mind racing. In all his years of service, he had never encountered a situation like this. The humans' advanced technology, their knowledge of the Council, and their ominous warning. It all pointed to a future very different from the one he had imagined. As he waited for a response from his superiors, Zorax couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy as he knew it was about to change forever. The arrival of humanity was not just a first contact scenario, it was the beginning of a new era. Little did Zorax know that light years away, on countless worlds across the Galactic Council's territory, similar scenes were unfolding. Human ships had appeared at key locations throughout Council space, their sudden appearance sending shockwaves through the galactic community. On the capital world of the Galactic Council, alarms blared in the grand chambers of leadership. Emergency sessions were called as reports flooded in from every corner of their territory. The humans had arrived, and with them came the promise of both great opportunity and terrible danger. As the Galactic Council scrambled to respond to this unprecedented situation, the human ships waited patiently, their crews ready to unveil secrets that would reshape the very foundations of galactic society. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of countless species and civilizations. The age of humanity's isolation was over. Now, ready or not, the galaxy would have to contend with the indomitable spirit and advanced technology of Earth. The next few hours would determine whether this first contact would lead to a new golden age of cooperation or plunge the galaxy into chaos and war. As Captain Zorax stared at the imposing form of the Earth ship horizon, he couldn't help but wonder, were these humans saviors, conquerors, or something else entirely? Only time would tell, and time, it seemed, was quickly running out. Diplomatic tensions rise. The news of humanity's arrival spread through the Galactic Council like wildfire. On the capital world of Celestia, the Grand Council chamber buzzed with a cacophony of voices, each representing a different species from across the galaxy. The circular room, with its soaring crystalline dome and hovering delegate platforms, had never seen such chaos. High Counselor Xyra, a towering, ethereal being of pure energy contained within an ornate exosuit, called for order. Her voice, amplified by the chamber's acoustics, cut through the din like a knife. "Silence," she commanded, her form pulsing with barely contained power. "We face an unprecedented situation. These humans have appeared simultaneously across our territory, their technology far beyond our own. We must decide on a course of action." As the noise died down, Counselor Vex of the militant Zorn Imperium rose from his seat, his crimson scales glinting under the chamber's lights. "We should mobilize our fleets immediately," he growled, razor-sharp teeth bared. "These humans, with their massive warships, pose a clear threat to our sovereignty." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber, but they were quickly countered by opposing voices. Counselor Elia of the peaceful Lumina Collective raised her luminescent tendrils, her soft voice somehow carrying to every corner of the room. "Violence is not the answer," she pleaded. "The humans claim to come in peace, warning us of a greater threat. We must hear them out before rushing to conflict." As the debate raged on, the doors to the council chamber slid open with a hiss. All eyes turned to see Captain Zorax enter, escorted by a delegation of humans. The room fell silent, the atmosphere thick with tension. Leading the human group was Captain Sarah Chen, her presence commanding respect despite her small stature compared to many of the alien delegates. Flanking her were two other humans. Dr. Aidan Copper, a distinguished scientist with streaks of gray in his dark hair, and Commander Elena Rodriguez, her military bearing evident in every step. High Counselor Xyra's voice echoed through the chamber. Captain Chen of Earth, you stand before the Galactic Council. Explain your presence and your intentions. Chen stepped forward, her voice clear and unwavering. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, we come before you today not as conquerors or invaders, but as allies against a threat that endangers us all. She gestured, and a holographic display sprang to life in the center of the chamber. It showed a massive swarm of biomechanical ships, unlike anything the Council had ever seen. This, Chen continued, is the Void Collective, a hive-mind species that consumes entire civilizations, incorporating their technology and biology into their own. They have already devoured dozens of galaxies, and now they have set their sights on ours. The chamber erupted into shocked whispers and cries of disbelief. Counselor Vex leaped to his feet, his voice a roar. Preposterous. We would have detected such a threat. This is clearly a ploy to manipulate us. Dr. Capper stepped forward, his voice calm but authoritative. With all due respect, Counselor, you wouldn't have detected them. The Void Collective uses a form of dark energy propulsion that's undetectable by conventional means. We only discovered their approach through a breakthrough in quantum entanglement observation. He manipulated the hologram, zooming in on one of the Void ships. Their technology is a fusion of organic and mechanical components, adaptable and self-repairing. Conventional weapons would be ineffective. The implications of his words sent a chill through the chamber. Even the most militant members of the Council looked shaken. High Counselor Xyra's voice cut through the tension. If what you say is true, why reveal yourselves now? Why not come to us sooner? It was Commander Rodriguez who answered, her military training evident in her crisp response. Until recently, we believed we could handle the threat alone. We've been preparing for centuries, ever since we first detected the Void Collective. But as they drew closer, we realized the enormity of the danger. This isn't just our fight. It's a fight for the survival of all sentient life in the galaxy. The chamber fell silent as the weight of her words sank in. The hologram shifted again, showing the impressive array of human defenses, massive space stations, fleets of advanced warships, and weaponry that seemed to defy the laws of physics as the Council understood them. Captain Chen spoke again, her voice filled with determination. We're here to offer an alliance, to share our technology, our strategies, and to stand with you against the coming storm. But we need to act fast. The Void Collective will be here sooner than you think. The Council chamber erupted into a frenzy of debate. Some delegates called for immediate cooperation, while others remained suspicious of human motives. Counselor Vex, his earlier bravado somewhat diminished, still argued for caution. How do we know we can trust you? He demanded. For all we know, you could be the real invaders, using this Void Collective as a pretext to subjugate us. Chen's eyes flashed with a mix of frustration and understanding. Counselor, if we wanted to conquer you, we would have done so already. We've had the capability for centuries. Instead, we're here, asking for your help, offering our own. Because united, we stand a chance. Divided, we'll fall one by one. As if to punctuate her words, alarm suddenly blared throughout the chamber. A junior officer rushed in, his face pale with fear. High Counselor, he gasped, we're detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of our space. They match the profile of the ships in the human hologram. The chamber fell into stunned silence. High Counselor Xyra's voice, when it came, was filled with a gravity that silenced all opposition. It seems, she said slowly, that the humans speak the truth. The threat is real, and it is here. She turned to Captain Chen, her energy form pulsing with resolve. Captain, it appears we have much to discuss, and very little time in which to do it. Chen nodded, relief visible on her face. Indeed, High Counselor, every moment counts. As the Council rushed to mobilize, the human delegation moved to share their knowledge and technology. The Galactic Council, for all its age and wisdom, found itself looking to these newcomers for guidance. In the space above Celestia, the massive human warships took up defensive positions alongside the Council fleet. As news spread across the galaxy, other species scrambled to join the alliance, realizing that in the face of extinction, old rivalries and suspicions meant nothing. The next few hours would be crucial. Plans had to be made, defenses coordinated, and a galaxy that had known relative peace for millennia had to prepare for war. But as Captain Chen looked out at the assembled fleet, a mix of human and alien ships standing together against the coming darkness, she felt a glimmer of hope. The galaxy was uniting, and humanity was no longer alone in the cosmos. Whatever the Void Collective brought, they would face it together. The greatest challenge in the history of all their species lay ahead, but so did the potential for the greatest triumph. As the first reports of Void Collective scout ships came in, the newly forged Human Galactic Alliance steeled itself for the battle to come. The fate of not just their galaxy, but countless others, hung in the balance. The time for debate was over. Now, it was time for action. The looming threat revealed. The Galactic Council's war room, a vast chamber deep within the heart of Celestia, hummed with frantic activity. Holograms flickered in the air, displaying real-time data from across the galaxy. Representatives from dozens of species huddled around tactical displays, their differences set aside in the face of impending doom. At the center of it all stood Captain Sarah Chen, her face illuminated by the glow of the central holodeble. Beside her, High Counselor Syra's energy form pulsed with a mix of anxiety and determination. The Void Collective's scout ships have been detected in the outer rim, Chen reported, her voice tight with tension. They're moving faster than we anticipated. We have days, at most, before the main fleet arrives. Counselor Vex, his earlier hostility replaced by grim resolve, leaned forward. What can you tell us about their tactics? How do they fight? Dr. Aiden Capper stepped forward, manipulating the hologram to show detailed scans of the Void Collective ships. Their strategy is unlike anything we've ever encountered, he explained, his voice grave. They don't just conquer, they assimilate. Every world they take, every species they absorb, adds to their collective knowledge and capability. The hologram shifted, showing horrifying images of worlds being consumed by swarms of nanomachines, entire civilizations transformed into biomechanical monstrosities. Their ships are living weapons, Capper continued, self-repairing, constantly evolving. They learn from every encounter, adapting to new threats with terrifying speed. Commander Rodriguez joined in, her military expertise evident in her analysis. Traditional tactics won't work against them. They don't have supply lines we can disrupt, no command structure to decapitate. Each ship is a semi-autonomous unit, capable of independent action, but linked to the greater hive mind. The assembled council members listened in stunned silence, the magnitude of the threat becoming clearer with each passing moment. High Counselor Xyra's voice cut through the tension. You've faced them before, haven't you? That's how you know so much about them. Captain Chen nodded, her expression grim. We've had skirmishes, isolated encounters on the fringes of explored space. We managed to drive them back, but at great cost. That's when we realized we couldn't face this threat alone. Counselor Elia of the Lumina Collective, her luminescent tendrils dimmed with concern, spoke up. But surely, with your advanced technology, you could have destroyed them. Chen interrupted, shaking her head. We thought so too, at first. But the Void Collective isn't just a military threat. It's an existential one. Every victory against them is temporary. They learn, they adapt, they come back stronger. She manipulated the hologram, showing the vast network of human defenses. We've been preparing for centuries, building weapons and defenses beyond anything we've revealed to the galaxy. But even with all that, our simulations show that we'd only have a 30% chance of survival if we faced them alone. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. If humanity, with all its advanced technology, couldn't guarantee victory, what hope did the rest of the galaxy have? It was Vex who broke the silence, his militant nature giving way to a grudging respect. So you came to us, not out of weakness, but because you understood the true nature of the threat. Chen nodded. United, our chances improved dramatically. Your species, your cultures, your unique perspectives, they're our greatest weapon against the void. They can adapt to tactics, to technology, but the diversity of thought and approach that comes from a united galaxy, that's something they can't easily counter. As if to underscore her words, alarms blared throughout the chamber. A junior officer rushed in, his face pale with fear. "High Counselor," he gasped, "we're detecting a massive energy surge in the Thorian system. It's gone silent. All communications have ceased." The hologram shifted, showing the Thorian system, a key strategic location near the galactic core. Where once a thriving civilization had stood, now there was only a swirling mass of darkness, punctuated by flashes of sickly green energy. "It's begun," Chen said softly, her voice barely audible over the shocked murmurs filling the room. "The main invasion force has arrived." High Counselor Xira's energy form pulsed with a mix of fear and determination. "Then we have no more time for debate. Captain Chen, we accept your offer of alliance. Whatever resources we have are at your disposal." Chen nodded, relief visible on her face despite the grim situation. "Thank you, High Counselor. Now, we need to move fast. Commander Rodriguez, begin coordinating with the Council's military leaders. Dr. Kapper, I need you to start briefing their scientists on our defensive technologies." As the human leaders sprang into action, the Council members rushed to mobilize their respective species. The galaxy, which had known relative peace for millennia, now found itself preparing for a war unlike any in its history. In orbit around Celestia, the combined fleet of human and alien ships began to assemble. Massive human dreadnoughts took position alongside sleek Council cruisers. Swarms of fighter craft darted between capital ships, running combat drills and integrating their tactical networks. On the planet's surface, in cities and habitats across Celestia, citizens of 1,000 different species watched the sky with a mix of fear and hope. The news of the Void Collective's arrival spread rapidly, along with tales of the mysterious humans who had come to stand with them against the darkness. In laboratories and workshops, human scientists worked feverishly alongside their alien counterparts, sharing technologies and adapting defenses to work across the myriad of different species' physiologies and technological bases. As the first reports of Void Collective attacks on outlying systems came in, the newly forged Human Galactic Alliance steeled itself for the coming storm. The next few days would determine the fate not just of their galaxy, but of countless others that might fall should they fail. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of her flagship, the ETS Defiant, watching as the combined fleet maneuvered into defensive formations. She felt the weight of history on her shoulders, knowing that the decisions made in the next few hours would echo across the cosmos for eons to come. "Captain," her eye assistant's voice came through her neural link, "we're receiving a transmission from High Counselor Xira. The first wave of evacuees from the outer systems has arrived." Chen closed her eyes for a moment, steeling herself. When she opened them, they blazed with determination. "Acknowledged. Tell the High Counselor we're ready to begin Phase 1 of the defense plan." As the message was relayed, Chen turned to her crew, a mix of humans and hastily integrated alien liaison officers. "This is it, people. Everything we've prepared for, everything we've worked towards. It all comes down to the next few days. We are the line in the sand. We are all that stands between life as we know it and oblivion." She paused, looking each crew member in the eye. "But remember this, we do not stand alone. Behind us are the combined strength, wisdom, and determination of 100 species. We fight not just for humanity, not just for the Council, but for every sentient being in this galaxy and beyond. As her words rang out across the ship, similar scenes played out across the fleet. In 1,000 different languages, with 1,000 different cultural contexts, leaders rallied their forces. The message was the same: stand together or fall alone. The galaxy held its breath as the Void Collective's main fleet approached. The greatest battle in the history of known space was about to begin, and its outcome would determine the fate of trillions. In the darkness of space, against the backdrop of glittering stars, two forces prepared to clash. One a diverse tapestry of life and culture, the other a relentless tide of assimilation and destruction. The future hung in the balance, waiting to see which would prevail. Battle preparations and cultural exchange. As the combined Human Galactic Alliance fleet assembled, an unprecedented exchange of knowledge and culture began to unfold. The imminent threat of the Void Collective had broken down barriers that had stood for millennia, forcing species that had long viewed each other with suspicion to work together in ways they never had before. On board the ETS Defiant, Captain Sarah Chen found herself in the middle of a whirlwind of activity. Her ship had become a hub of interspecies cooperation, with alien engineers and scientists working alongside their human counterparts to integrate technologies and strategies. In the main engineering bay, Dr. Aidan Capper stood before a mixed group of human and alien scientists, explaining the intricacies of human quantum shielding technology. The aliens listened in rapt attention, their various sensory organs focused intently on the holographic displays. The key, Capper explained, manipulating the hologram to show the subatomic interactions, is the use of quantum entanglement to create a predictive defense grid. It anticipates incoming attacks and adjusts the shield harmonics in real time. A Zentheri scientist, its crystalline body refracting the light from the holograms, raised an appendage. Fascinating, it chimed, its voice a melodic series of tones. But how do you account for the energy requirements? Such a system would seem to violate our understanding of thermodynamics. Capper smiled, always eager to delve into the complexities of his work. Excellent question. We've developed a novel approach to energy generation using controlled microsingularities. As the scientists delved deeper into their discussion, melding human theoretical frameworks with alien perspectives, new ideas began to emerge. Concepts that neither species would have developed alone started to take shape, holding the promise of defenses even more formidable than what humanity had brought to the table. Meanwhile, in the tactical center, Commander Elena Rodriguez was engaged in an intense discussion with military leaders from across the Galactic Council. The room was a cacophony of translator devices as strategies were debated and battle plans formed. The key, Rodriguez explained, her hands moving across a 3D tactical display, is to use our diversity as a strength. The Void Collective adapts quickly, but it's never faced such a varied opposition before. We need to keep them off balance, hit them with tactics and technologies they've never encountered. Grakthor, a massive, six-armed warrior from the Silicon Confederacy, rumbled in agreement. Yes, unpredictability is key. My people have an old saying, the most dangerous enemy is the one you don't understand. Rodriguez nodded, a glimmer of respect in her eyes. Exactly. We'll use hit-and-run tactics, constantly changing our approach. Human stealth technology combined with Luminian phase shifting, Zorn battle rage amplifiers working in concert with Kulari psychic disruption fields. As the military leaders continued their planning, a sense of cautious optimism began to grow. The combined knowledge and capabilities of the Alliance were formidable, offering hope in the face of overwhelming odds. But it wasn't just in the realms of science and military strategy that exchanges were taking place. Throughout the ship, and indeed across the entire fleet, cultural barriers were breaking down as species that had never interacted before found common ground in the face of extinction. In the ship's mess hall, off-duty crew members from a dozen different species shared meals and stories. A human ensign listened in fascination as a Methosian gasbag recounted tales of floating cities in the storms of its homeworld. Nearby, A Zorn warrior and a Luminian pacifist found unexpected common ground in their species' musical traditions. Captain Chen walked through these scenes, her heart swelling with a mix of pride and hope. This, she realized, was what they were fighting for, not just survival, but the infinite potential that came from the meeting of different minds and cultures. As she made her way back to the bridge, Chen's comm unit chimed. "Captain," came the voice of her eye assistant, "we're receiving a priority transmission from High Counselor Xira. The Void Collective's main fleet has been detected entering the Helios cluster. They'll be within strike range of major populated systems within 48 hours. Chen's expression hardened. "Understood. Alert all commands. It's time to execute Phase 2 of the defense plan." As the message was relayed, a palpable shift in atmosphere swept through the ship. The time for preparation was over. Now, they would see if their combined efforts were enough to stem the tide of destruction that was bearing down upon them. Throughout the fleet, final checks were made on newly integrated systems. Weapons powered up, shields hummed to life, and in the minds of countless beings, prayers were offered to a multitude of deities. On the bridge of the Defiant, Chen looked out at the assembled fleet, a vast armada of ships of all shapes and sizes, representing the combined might of a united galaxy. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. "All hands," she announced, her voice carrying to every corner of the ship and echoing across the fleet. "Battle stations. This is not a drill. May whatever gods you believe in watch over us all." As klaxons sounded and crews rushed to their posts, the combined fleet began to move. They were the last line of defense, the final hope for countless worlds. In the vastness of space, against the backdrop of glittering stars, history held its breath. The battle for the future of the galaxy was about to begin. The first stand against the invaders. The vast emptiness of space erupted into chaos as the Void Collective's advance fleet burst into the Helios cluster. Their ships, a nightmarish fusion of organic and mechanical components, moved with an otherworldly grace that belied their destructive purpose. Aboard the ETS Defiant, Captain Sarah Chen watched the tactical displays with a mixture of awe and dread. The enemy forces were even more numerous than their worst projections had anticipated. "All ships, assume defensive formation Delta," Chen ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Remember your training. We've prepared for this. Trust in each other. Trust in our combined strength." As the human Galactic Alliance fleet maneuvered into position, the first salvos were fired. Beams of energy crisscrossed the void, a dazzling display of destructive power. The Void Collective ships absorbed the initial barrage, their biomechanical hulls rippling and reforming to mitigate the damage. "They're adapting already," Commander Rodriguez reported, her eyes fixed on the tactical readouts. Shifting to tactic pattern Epsilon 3. "All ships, prepare for phase shift on my mark." In a breathtaking display of coordination, the Allied fleet suddenly seemed to flicker out of existence, only to reappear moments later in a completely different formation. The Void ships, caught off guard by the maneuver, found themselves suddenly surrounded. "Now," Chen shouted, "all ships, fire at will." A storm of weapons fire erupted from the Allied vessels. Human quantum torpedoes streaked alongside Zorn plasma lances and Krulleri psychic disruptors. The combined assault overwhelmed the Void ships' defenses, tearing through their ranks. For a moment, hope surged through the Allied fleet, but the victory was short-lived. The damaged Void ships began to reform, their structures twisting and evolving in real time to counter the attacks they had just endured. "By the cosmic egg," gasped a Methosian officer, its gas-bag body quivering with fear. "They're learning, adapting to our weapons as we speak." Chen gritted her teeth. They had expected this, but seeing it in action was still chilling. "Initiate random weapon rotations. Keep them guessing. We need to buy time for the evacuation ships to clear the cluster." As the battle raged on, scenes of heroism and sacrifice played out across the battlefield. A Zorn battlecruiser, its weapons depleted, rammed into a void mothership, taking both vessels out in a spectacular explosion. A squadron of human fighters, working in perfect harmony with Luminian phase shifters, danced through enemy formations, sowing chaos and destruction. But for every void ship destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. The Allied fleet, for all its technological advantages and tactical brilliance, found itself slowly being pushed back. "Captain," Dr. Kipper's voice came through the comm, tinged with excitement despite the dire situation. "We've made a breakthrough. The Zentheri crystals, we can use them to amplify our quantum shields. It might give us the edge we need." Chen didn't hesitate. "Do it. Whatever you need, take it. We're running out of options here." As Capper and his team worked feverishly to implement the new defense, the battle reached a fever pitch. The space around them was littered with the debris of destroyed ships from both sides, a grim testament to the cost of the conflict. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Defiant. "Void flagship detected." Rodriguez shouted. It's massive. Like nothing we've ever seen." The tactical display shifted, showing a colossal vessel at the heart of the Void Fleet. It pulsed with sickly green energy, its surface a constantly shifting maze of biomechanical horror. Chen stared at the monstrosity, a plan forming in her mind. It was risky, potentially suicidal, but it might be their only chance. "All ships fall back to secondary positions," she ordered. "Defiant will take point. We're going to hit that flagship with everything we've got." As the Allied fleet regrouped, the Defiant surged forward, its newly enhanced shields glowing with the combined power of human and Zentheri technology. Chen felt the ship shudder as it absorbed hit after hit, but the shields held. "All power to weapons," Chen commanded. "Targeting systems, lock onto that flagship's central mass. Fire everything we've got on my mark."